Greetings, beloved. Hey, it's Dr. Amanda Noelle, and this is the 7 signs the divine feminine is learning to love herself. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, please do subscribe because I'm going to be sharing a lot of drops about twin flames, the divine feminine, divine masculine relationship, about the divine feminine healing arts, and how you can manifest more pleasure and love into your life. This video, I'm going to share these 7 signs that perhaps you, as the divine feminine, are learning to love herself. So stay tuned. All right, the first sign that the divine feminine is learning to love herself is creativity. Are you expressing yourself creatively? Now, when I was struggling and I was not in self-love, I was single, or I was manifesting toxic partnerships, I was coming from a lot of wounding. Well, what was I doing? I wasn't expressing my most creative essence. I was actually trying to fit in. And I see this with a lot of women like myself. I was wearing all black. I was trying to fit into a box. I was trying to fit into my clothing. I was trying to be a certain size, a certain shape, going to the gym and not listening to my body, not dancing or doing embodiment exercises. Instead, I was trying to rise above the body. I was trying to control it, to discipline it, to try and change my moon cycles, getting on birth control pills, even though my mom used similar drugs and ended up getting breast cancer, and I knew that this was a high risk thing to do. So many women do the same thing, where they, instead of embracing their creative feminine flow, they are fitting into boxes. So one of the ways we can get out of this pattern is honoring the feminine in her creativity by doing art, by wearing fun colors, by decorating our home, even bringing out like fun little things like your unicorn and painting things. Like I haven't painted in a while and I just got out my paints. So I was like, yeah, let's do a canvas. I haven't finished it yet. And I'll share a story about how I painted to create my twin flame relationship, and literally have called in so many miracles. So stay tuned for that video. Paint to attract your twin flame, because creativity is a miracle drug. It goes beyond any spell or elixir. So do your art, wear your art, create as a business owner from this creative space. The sacral chakra is the very first chakra in the body that is a feminine chakra. The root chakra, the odd numbers are more masculine. The even numbers are more feminine in general. So our sacral chakra, it's our expression of our feminine love. So take a moment to assess, is there some area in your life where maybe you haven't expressed your creativity? Do you want to buy a watercolor set? Have you always wanted to do a collage? Have you wanted to maybe paint something crazy on your wall or buy a painting from someone? Do this now, don't wait. Life is short, and our creativity is one of the biggest gifts from the universe. Now, the second sign that the divine feminine is learning to love herself, and I will speed up now, is her intuition is unleashed. Now, I want to share a story about when I was scared of being intuitive. Even though now I would deem myself as a trained psychic, an intuitive, a channel, a reader, whatever you call that. I just call myself a twin flame alchemist or a mentor or blissness mentor, but wearing so many hats, right? We high-end priestesses. But a long, long time ago, I wanted nothing to do with the whole spiritual world. I thought the psychics were crazy. I grew up in a city, and when I would walk home from high school, I would pass by something called a psychic institute. And I thought it was nuts. And I actually kind of was like, stay away from me, you weirdos. Made fun of them. I thought it was all bogus. And I even read scientific articles about how psychics were not accurate. Years later, I went through a whole spiritual awakening when I was traveling in Asia, and I talked to different monks and healers, and everywhere around me, everyone believed in reincarnation and ghosts and metaphysics and qi and acupuncture and a lot of stuff that was deemed woo-woo in my country of origin. But in my awakening, I had this miraculous experience of walking back to this psychic institute and actually being guided by a sign being put out right when I said, what am I going to do for 2 hours? It said 2-hour aura reading. And I ended up going in, getting this 2-hour aura reading, and being told that I was actually an ancient Egyptian Atlantean priestess. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of weird, kind of crazy. But it had so many pieces of the reading were quite accurate, things about my life that no one knew unless they were, there was no way they could have known back then that I'd just gone through these specific things. And so I was like, I want to learn more. This is interesting. So I ended up getting trained, and it turned out that my intuition was like a muscle from past lives. It started coming back. My first handful of readings were accurate, and it was like so exciting. But most of us are told to shut up, to shut down, and to give our intuitive powers away, and that we should follow the curriculum from a very, very young age. We should fit in, we should listen to our elders, we should fill out the test, and there's one right answer. So we have to recondition ourselves when we're awakening into our divine feminine, to give ourselves the space to be intuitive, maybe even to have intuition that's not totally accurate yet, and to have a place to play and to bring our magic back again. But when the divine feminine loves herself, she honors intuition and is not only following the statistics, the logic, and the science. The third sign the divine feminine is loving herself is nourishment. The masculine likes to detoxify, to let go, to release, to minimize, to simplify, to go straight towards the goal. Whereas the feminine is much more flowing and creative, and she likes to build and build and build the energy. So she might have that slow climactic energy versus he's like more to the point. But together, when we have our feminine and masculine, and we all have both, when we have those in alignment inside of ourselves, we can have both the heights and the depth, as well as the power and force that we can have from feminine and masculine. The problem is that so many people are walking around undernourished. Our soil has been depleted. Many people are on the standard American diet, the SAD diet, or diets around the world that are based on GMOs and chemicals and pesticides and antibiotics and hormones. People are often functioning with not enough sleep, or not enough time, or not enough emotional support. So can you feed your feminine first? Can you start your morning with embodiment practices, with meditation, with breath work, with affirmations, things that love yourself up? Can you transition into a lifestyle and into a diet, into a self-care plan, into relationships, into a business that feeds you and nourishes you, versus that old paradigm program where we're supposed to give our power away in order to get our tiny crumbs, our salary, or a relationship that just keeps breadcrumbing us, or even our body image story where if we can fit into this box and diet and be good enough, then someone will approve of us, and we have high self-esteem for 5 minutes, and the rest of the day we feel like crap. So instead, the feminine is all about this deeper nourishment. I transitioned from toxic diets to actually having a healthy relationship with foods, eating all organic and plant-based, or at least as much as possible. The fourth sign the divine feminine is loving herself is taking her time. Masculine is fast, feminine is slow. If we're in our masculine all the time, then we are actually going to deplete our energy. So slowing down, getting back into the body, getting back into nature. Nature is slow. The cities are going to be more challenging. If you are a divine feminine, you may want to consider moving away from the city, to taking more holidays, to having more plants in your home, your office, your life. It is going to be more challenging if you're living in that type of environment, cities, urban areas. The feminine nature wants to ground, to earth, to move slowly. And most of us are moving a little too fast. I know I've had to work on this, and I hired an embodiment coach, and it's a journey of slowing down. I love to work fast in my masculine. So challenge yourself a little bit each day with those meditation pockets, or even if there's someone you talk to regularly, maybe it's a best friend where you talk to her and it's like, can you look into her eyes more and slow down and just feel how you feel in your body? You might realize that you're having a totally different experience. You're feeling different emotions that you didn't allow yourself to feel. Slowing down allows us to come back to our truth, back to our intuition as well. Fifth sign that the divine feminine is loving herself is she is finding others like herself, and that includes sisters, sisterhood connection. So a lot of women, when they don't feel a deep sense of divine feminine energy in themselves and they're operating from the masculine, they won't have really deep sisterhood connections. Maybe they'll have drinking buddies or women that they like work out with and they do activities with, they won't have like deep emotional bonds. And so that's what I call sisterhood. Sisters are there for you for the ups and downs, the thicks and thins. When you are feeling your most high, or when you're just feeling horrible and down, maybe you go through a bad breakup. Do you have those sisters that love you in your depression? Do you have those that are willing to see you in your maybe selfish and moody and PMSy and grumpy and bad sides and work through it together? I know one of my dearest sisters years back broke up with me right at a very pivotal moment in my life on email, and it took me actually years to heal. And that was a turning point for me where I said, it's time for me to find real loving sisters. And I realized that I had been not fully loving myself, and therefore I was finding people that were mirroring that and that wanted to sort of maybe be in a give and take type of relationship, transactional type of relationship. And then after that, I moved into deep emotional intimacy based relationships. But it takes work, and it can take joining a mastermind. That's why at Aphrodite University, we have masterminds. Masterminds are places where you can talk, where you can share with other people, and there's actually an intentional space. So maybe for you, it's joining a women's circle or a workshop or some type of group feminine collaboration place, a belly dancing circle. But dive deep, share your emotions, open your heart, invite the women into your life, break bread together, and be nourished in each other's creative feminine energy, because it will boost you up. And no twin flame union can survive without a lot of feminine energy support through sisterhood, for the woman especially. Now 6 is freedom and flow. If you are a divine feminine in her loving energy, then you will absolutely give yourself permission to break rules as needed. You, while staying in integrity with your promises, or at least negotiating and saying, how do you feel if I don't do this? How do you feel if we change our plan? The feminine loves to flow. She does not like a whole lot of structure. The structures that the feminine likes are actually structures that support her freedom and flow. So I see so many women in their divine masculine running their businesses on a lot of adrenaline and pushing, and everything has to be up to them. And I will work with my clients, especially women that have multiple 6 or 7 figure businesses. They will actually need to learn how to delegate a lot more so that they can reach that delicate feminine energy inside of them. And by accessing the feminine, the yin within, then they can bring in a partner who is wanting that level of delicate, vulnerable feminine energy. But if they're pushing on the overachiever adrenaline burnout mode, then it's really hard to call in that intimate relationship, or even to, if they have the partner, to have the time, the space, and the sensation in their bodies to have that ecstatic sacred union. And the 7th sign that the divine feminine is learning to love herself is solitude. So the feminine is about that yin within. And if we're always going out and people pleasing or partying or taking care of our children or taking care of solving somebody else's problems, it can be wonderful and it can be fulfilling, but we're not creating the full gamut, the range of love that starts within. So a woman who rises in her divine feminine will need to create and carve out some time for self-care, alone time. Now this does need to be balanced with getting out and socializing and sharing with the world what you've cultivated inside. So it's about both sides of those aspects of ourself, our social side and our inner side. But I see a lot of women escaping and running away from who they really are by busying themselves, filling up their calendars and becoming overachievers, and not really creating the time for themselves. When we're with ourselves and we sit and we meditate and we journal, and even if spending time alone is doing your business fun work or launching your business, but really coming into that deep listening space, not just the go and fulfilling everything, checking things off, but can we meditate? Like, what do I want to create with my next launch? How do I want to feel in my new brand? So taking that yin within time, that meditative space, is going to really help you to manifest the world that you want to be living in. All right, so those are the 7 signs the divine feminine is learning to love herself. The divine feminine learning how to not be codependent